Hi, yes, Evan. What we're going to do is start looking at the textbook so that we can come into the next lesson next week with a bit of background knowledge on our specific reactions. We're looking at today is acids and metals. So it's a chemical reaction again, not a physical change, right? And we're going to go through this sort of double page spread. I'm going to go through the questions and the answers with you so that we know how to answer them, and we can then write down the question and the answers in our books. Okay, so first of all, we'll write down the kind of chemical reaction that we've got. So your title is acids and metals. We're learning about how they react with metals, what's sort of produced and how we can test for the products, and also what corrosion is. So a couple of key words as well. So question A, how can you tell that there's a chemical reaction between zinc and sulfuric acid? Well, you see this guy here, this scientist, he is dropping zinc into sulfuric acid. So you read this bit here. If you add a few granules of zinc to some acid in a beaker, it fizzes. The photo shows zinc being added to the acid. The zinc is used up, bubbles form, and the temperature of the mixture rises. So how can we tell that a chemical reaction has taken place? Well, you got it. The zinc's being used up, the fact that there's bubbles being produced, and the temperature of the mixture rises. So, and also the fourth thing, the zinc has all been used up, or the reactants get used up. Okay? So you can write that down, question and answers in your book. B. For this reaction, can we name the reactants and the products? So the reactants are things we started with. So if we look back, reactants, zinc, sulfuric acid. Okay, so number one, reactants, zinc plus sulfuric acid. So you actually put sulfuric acid plus zinc there when we're actually writing it out. The products, what's actually formed, we've got this gas, the fizzing bubbles that's produced, actually produces a gas. It goes up here. It's a little setup we could have done if we were in school. And the gas gets trapped in the test tube here. So the gas produced is hydrogen. We actually get something else called a salt produced. Do you remember from acids and alkalis? When we neutralize something, we produce a salt. Here's the salt again. And actually, when we react zinc with sulfuric acid, we get a sulfate, zinc sulfate. So zinc sulfate will go in there. Okay. Testing for hydrogen. This is one of the things we need to know. So when we're producing this gas, we can collect it, and we can also test for it. It's a very, very distinctive reaction when you put hydrogen gas next to a Bunsen burner here, or a flame. It actually makes a loud squeaky pop sound. That's the noise that's generated when the hydrogen reacts with oxygen in the air. And it's a mini kind of explosion in the form of a squeaky pop. Okay, so the test for hydrogen is an explosive squeaky pop. Hydrogen is the only gas that pops like this. Okay, that is another chemical reaction there. Right. This subsection here, okay, so finding the zinc sulfate and name and substances. So this is quite important when we're thinking about naming substances. If you're reacting something with sulfuric acid, everything the salts that are formed are always called sulfates. And we did meet that when we did neutralization in acids and alkalis, right? So let's have another go. Part D. So copy and complete this word equation. Hydrochloric acid plus zinc goes to what? So if it's an acid plus metal, what's the gas that's going to be produced? That's right, it's hydrogen. So hydrogen would go in here. And then we've got a salt here. Okay, so we've got zinc, but it's not sulfuric acid, it's hydrochloric acid. So the salt formed is a chloride. The metal is zinc, so it's zinc chloride. Okay, if you got that before I said it, well done. Write your own word equation for the reaction between hydrochloric acid and aluminium. All right, so it's still a metal. It's reacting with an acid, so it's going to produce the gas, hydrogen, you got it, and the salt is going to be called aluminium chloride. Okay, so you can write that word equation there. You're just replacing the zinc with aluminium. Okay. Right, last key word, corrosion. So a word we use to describe a chemical reaction. So when metals are used up by chemical reactions, we call it corrosion. So if you had a car made of iron, the iron would react with the oxygen in the air, and eventually the iron would be all used up, and we have corrosion taking place. Between iron and oxygen, we call that rust. Probably a lot of you would recognise rust. It's like a brown, powdery substance on the outside of iron objects. So, just the last thing. If you're here, Mr. Baker's reacting to my message. For your notes, some metals react with acids to make hydrogen gas. This is one type of neutralization reaction. Sulfuric acid forms sulfates when it's neutralized. Hydrogen gas pops when you test it with a lighted splint, and metals corrode because of chemical reactions. Okay, I hope that didn't take you too long. So literally, we don't want you to copy the whole thing, just asking you to write down specific points in your book. Thank you, and I'll see you in class next time. Bye-bye.